hold on a second. Okay, that's better. Well, Tom's all the way on the East Coast. Okay, Chris is right with us.
Hello, Jack.
Hey,
yep,
Chris.
Yep. Hey, give me, sorry, 1 second. Why is this? Yeah. Okay.
All right. Why do I have a little heartbeat throbbing here?
Because we love you.
No, it looks like I love everybody.
Yeah, I think that's like the.
It's an emoji or something. Yeah, I could do a hand up or.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Let me just get my camera going here. Display settings.
All right, but we can't see Tom and we don't hear from Tom.
You can't see me either?
No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
But the changes.
But your volume is still softer. What'd you have for dinner? Okay, wait a minute. Now, do we have the link? The link? It is on.
Oh, camera's turned off. How the hell did that happen?
Aha.
Camera front. Let's adjust that a little. Too much. Okay, be right back. Just gonna grab a beverage. Oh, he's got a new background. I wish I could figure out how to make that work. I can't. I don't see the setting any place to get a background. Yeah.
All right. Are you able to hear me any better?
We can hear you.
Yeah, sound good. Be right there.
So now it sounds better.
It does.
Let me help. I didn't do a damn thing.
Well, maybe it's all that those people in back of you there.
They're up. Yep.
Let's see. What is? Oh, this is. Right. We're starting soon. We're on the live stream. You do. All right. Now let's try something. So where is that behind you?
That is at the Iron Horse Motorcycle Lodge in Stokoe, North Carolina. Just outside. Well, it's about maybe half a mile or half an hour from Bryson City, or the other direction, half an hour from the Tail of the Dragon. And that was last year's BMW K1600 get together. So we call it TTW, Tame the Dragon.
Great.
TTD, Tame the Dragon. So I think by that pick we had about 60, 70 people there. Here, I'll move away. You can see the whole.
Yeah. So that was when you were there?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's right behind that crowd is about 60, 70 bikes lined up.
Ah. Nice.
My bike is way off in the, that side, way far corner. I have so since it's a K16 gathering, my GS gets put into the back.
Outside, right? My Sportster used to get put to the back of the pack too when I rode with the hogs.
Yeah, I've got the ugly duckling bike. So, although this past year when we got together, there were several people that had converted to GSs. So we had to cancel this year. So that's why I have the picture up. I would have gone there. Was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago? I would have made that trip.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's have to reminisce because we canceled.
Yeah, we're still not. We still don't have open travel yet. They haven't lifted the restrictions. So I'm still not going out on my bike except for purposeful trips.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're open. It's like nothing ever happened.
Oh, really? Restaurants
Georgia?
and everything?
Oh,
Restaurants?
yeah, Georgia.
Yeah.
We are the canary in the coal mine. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How come? Is this off? Should be.
We did see you. We did see Chris.
Hold on.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that's better. That's weird.
All right. Well, it's not that big a deal either. If you do come in and out, you can just join in whenever you feel able to, and
Yeah, I think that's fair.
and otherwise we can carry the load.
I think an on-air bark would be really great just to see this splatter effect right onto the camera.
It might not. He might not be talking just bark. You know what I mean? So
it would make for good entertainment.
yeah. Well, we got plenty of news. I do have the paper folding news that really was the talk of the internet. You guys. I have the article up here. It's news. It's listed under the news. Make your own paper motorcycle.
Okay.
Yeah. And the template is available. If you guys feel like doing a little origami while we're talking, feel free.
Nice.
I'm gonna pass.
But it's just been a little bit of a slow news week. So. I guess anything goes these days, but this is pretty exciting. This is pretty exciting stuff.
Hey, and I had just started playing. Are you guys familiar with Fortnite on YouTube? Yeah. I only got through the first 3 or 4 minutes before you guys called, so
no, Fortnite.
Take a look at that.
What is that?
Ryan F9.
Well, I put in a link to an article where what's his face, the new head of Harley is just buying up the stock like crazy.
Right, and that's why I mentioned it because of the YouTube.
Yeah, well, that could backfire real bad. But he's not a stupid guy, so yeah, he is.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, no. This is his personal portfolio. He's converting his options into shares, and I'm assuming that he's in part it's a show of confidence, but he's putting his money where his mouth is.
If you dream of your motorcycle, if your day isn't complete without some time in the saddle, if all you need is the open road and a full tank of gas, well, you've come to the right place, because this is Throttled, and it's starting now. Here is your host, Kevin McKinney.
All right, welcome back to Throttled, everybody. So glad you decided to tune in. For those of you that showed up a little early, you got to listen to some of the pre-show because I forgot to turn off all the buttons. So I know there's been some volume issues with my mic. The mixer we've got is kind of going out. But besides that, I'm actually not feeling too ill tonight, so I may be stepping out for the majority of the show once we get things rolling. But let's go ahead and start with who we got on the phone with us today, and that is pretty much our full crew. Tom, how are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, it's a good Sunday evening. Glad to be back. Happened to have missed last week due to some Mother's Day activities, but yeah, it's a good Sunday.
Chris, how are you doing, man?
I am doing well, thank you. Been getting some riding in here and there when I can. Been practicing some moto jitsu and some cornering confidence. So yeah, it's been pretty good. Looking forward to the season really getting underway.
And way out there on the West Coast, Larry, how are you, man?
I'm doing okay, Kev. It's as you say, I'm leaning left, as they say, and I'm raring to go. So let's get on with the show.
So, Chris, you made prelude to it, a little bit of riding in. I'm waiting to see. You know, he'll post pictures on his. Chris has a podcast for those of you who don't know, and he'll post pictures out there like, "Hey, I'm about to do this drill." But I've yet to see video of said drill actually being done. I've actually commented,
yeah, no,
"Where's the video?"
No, I missed that. I missed the comment. Sorry. Yeah, no video. Just here's what's about to happen.
Hey, if you don't film it, it didn't happen. Just saying.
Yeah. Once the drilling gets nice and smooth and professional looking, then I'll start posting video. How's that?
But how was that inspiration to those of your target audience of your particular motorcycle for new riders to show them that the struggle is okay?
That's actually something that could be done.
Yeah, it would be very instructive to see what you shouldn't do.
And should do, and how to recover, and how to keep practicing and not give up.
That opens up a whole can of worms, like what you shouldn't do. There's an infinite number of things you shouldn't do. So,
I don't know. I think I've covered
that might be hard to cover, but yeah, maybe if I really get serious about the YouTube channel, I'll start doing that stuff.
Well, we know Larry goes out with Brian every once in a while, but we've yet to see video of Larry. But Brian has cameras because Larry will video Brian. I'm going to have to talk to Brian and say, hey, just start it running and set it to the side and then send me the file. So I'll reach out to Brian about that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to reach out to Brian about that too. Don't you worry. Yeah, Brian is really encouraging me to do the track day in July. And so
cool.
Yeah, so I'm nervous about that. I'm thinking about that. So, but I did get out to ride this week. I finally my tried and true mechanic over the last couple of decades is temporarily or maybe permanently out of business. So I've had to find a new mechanic, and I finally found a guy up in San Rafael and set up an appointment, took my bike in last week for a service, and then after I picked up the bike, I did a local ride. Unfortunately, it started raining in the last half of the ride, so I had to cut it a little short and get back home. But it felt really good to be back out on the bike and riding, and hopefully, as they lift the restrictions on travel around here, I'll be able to get back on the road both locally and also for a longer trip that I'm hoping to do later this summer.
Well, Tom, how about you? You been out on your bike?
Yeah, well, I ventured out and got a haircut this week, so I took the scooter out and a little extended trip while I went and got a haircut. So that was an entertaining experience. Um, and then just today, it was really nice out. The wife and I did a two-wheeled bicycle trip in the morning, and then we got back and hopped on the motorcycle and just did a few-hour run, a little over 100 miles, just into some nice little twisties that are somewhat local, and it was nice to be out and about for a few hours.
Yeah, so
So.
I've yet to get on mine. I'm glad you guys are out there riding and stuff. This weekend was supposed to be my opportunity to go out there and ride. Yesterday just slipped away from me, and then before I knew it, it was just like, well, we're cooking, so I don't need to go anywhere because we're about to start eating. And today, um, about the time I got to where I could go ride, like I open up the garage door, I'm starting to go out, and be like, okay, well, I need, go through my T clocks. I was going to go check my tire pressures before I go and put on all my gear, and it just starts thundering and lightning, and just pop up kind of summer type storm we get in the south. Um, and I look at the radar because I was under the impression it really wasn't supposed to rain, and they're just everywhere. And I was, it's just one of those that it kind of put me out of the mood, just because it's been a while since I've been on the bike, and actually like ridden. I've tooled around in the cul-de-sac and in the neighborhood a little bit, but nothing worth celebrating. And I just didn't feel like going out there and dealing with wet roads. And I've been getting reports from neighbors that apparently now that everybody can go out there and drive during the last couple weeks, they have forgotten how to, and that road manners and road skills for all the cagers has greatly diminished. There's a lot of just really crazy kind of accidents, and I'm kind of like, you know what? That wet conditions, I'll wait. But we're starting the last week of school, and while my next couple weeks of work, I'm still working from home. There's no plans of me going back to the office. In a few weeks, we'll actually have a babysitter here most of the time. And so that will allow me to take advantage of a 2 to 3 hour opening in my schedule to get a long lunch. Or, depending on what's going on, I could ride somewhere and work for a few hours and ride back. That's always an option. So ride somewhere, attend a virtual meeting from a Starbucks or something, and then ride back. Always an option. So looking at how I can do that and get some miles on the bikes.
Yeah, you're talking about the drivers reminded me that I meant to throw this up a couple of weeks ago, but they've noticed in California that even though traffic flow had dropped 30% or more in some places, that there was a dramatic increase in the number of speeders that they were ticketing, and there was a unusually high number of speeders that were doing over 100. And the speculation or the comment was that apparently people were taking advantage of the fact that the roads were so open and going as fast as they wanted to. So I don't know if other people have elsewhere in the country that's been a case, but that has occurred out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Georgia mountains, in fact, this weekend, supposedly there was supposed to be a significant law enforcement presence and a sting going on in the mountains because primarily bikes, but also sports cars, but mostly bikes, have been treating several of the Georgia mountain roads as racetracks.
Yeah.
And there have been, quite a few accidents, people flying off the mountain, but also buzzing cars and, triple-digit speeds. And some of these roads are residential. And so there's been a lot of complaints. And, so finally a crackdown through a couple of counties and Georgia State Patrol said that they're going to start cracking down, and we expect that some of the nicest roads up in the mountains will be kind of heavily patrolled for the next several weeks, probably because of that.
Well, that's what we need is more favorable publicity. That's great.
Yeah, I was just saying, if one or two morons ruin it for everybody else, I mean, because I'll admit, when you're on those kind of roads, the speed limit may not be the funnest option. 5 over, maybe more something, 10 over. But I really think if you start doing more than that, you're asking for it. Of course, we don't advocate speeding at all at any time whatsoever.
Never.
No. I mean, all 4 of us are very strict in following the speed limit at all times. I mean,
except maybe from what I hear, Tom. Tom, you want to comment?
No. I faithfully in my ride today. Yeah, I was right at the speed limit through the twisties, and I did for the most part of it, because the route that I took is a 2 roads, very technical and also full of gravel and other things that were in the road. So it was. But that's going on in North Georgia as far as, so it's not isolated to California. There have been incidents too, as far as one of the main arteries that goes from Atlanta up to North Georgia is called Highway 400, which is pretty much a straight shot road. There was a Facebook posting about 3 weeks ago of a radar, someone had caught, or a cop had caught somebody at 176 running up that road.
What about in New York, in the metro area, Chris? Anything going on there like this?
Nothing, that's been really made a big deal out of, a publicized or anything like that. No. I mean, the biggest thing I saw was just someone. There's a guy I'm friends with who has a Facebook group for basically New York-based scooterists and motorcyclists. Warning everyone, don't forget that your registrations end of April, because I guess May 1st is in New York City. It's New York City Police Department ticketing and tow bikes day. So,
well, right. I mean, I can't. Yeah. My license has been expired for a month. And I can't renew it. I've changed addresses, and so I have to go physically someplace, and I can't renew it.
You can't do it.
They're
online.
Like, well, you get 30 days, and I'm just like, well, guess what? 30 days is up. So
yeah.
But if I physically can't get it done, if I go to court, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, look, I have a feeling that there would be leniency if I do get that cop that's just going to be a jerk, But, and if I go to renew it and they're like, oh, well, you're going to have to pay extra because you let it lapse, or you need to retake the test because you let it lapse. I'm just like, it's not like I had the option to,
So Kevin, have you guys started reopening teaching classes yet, or any plan to?
No. Right. As of right now, the Alabama MSF and Harley classes, Riders Academy classes, since they're managed and facilitated through a state-funded program that is operated by the University of Montevallo, when universities and schools reopen, or at least start allowing people back in on a regular basis, some kind of classwork or activity work to be done on campuses, we'll be able to. But that hasn't happened yet. So as long as that's happening, there are going to be no classes. Everybody wants them to, but it's one of those, I can't kind of, like the head guy that's making the call above the director of the MSF is kind of like, yeah, we just can't yet.
I was curious because in Georgia we reopened. The state of Georgia started doing classes 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I'm scheduled for mid-June. I had particularly taken May off, but if we have some caveats as far as limiting the class size to 8 people and social distancing and all of the various rules that are there. But we got an email from our director is that as soon as they opened registration up online, it just started getting filled. So people
And
were like
and
clamoring.
here's the funny thing, and this is completely not what we're going to talk about tonight, but I was really considering. So as everybody knows, I had some blood clots a couple years ago, and or last year, last year, and they put me on some medication. Well, I've come off the medication. Clots seem to have gone away. The problem is I am very susceptible to weather extremes now. Heat and cold mess with me a lot now, and small percentage of people have this carry forward side effect, and apparently I'm one of them. To where if I get really hot, I'm more susceptible to heat stroke and stuff like that. I guess would be the right way to say it.
Oh wow!
I was actually thinking about taking the summer off of coaching. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that now. So that's kind of.
I mean, a lot of guys do in Georgia because
Yeah.
out on the range it gets up to 120 degrees on that blacktop.
Well, last year I coached and it was 115 measurable. Just that was the daily heat index was like 115. You're on that blacktop and you're in all your gear and everything. Your body core temperature really skyrockets, and that was a hard class to get through physically. And that's when I started chasing things down because I really struggled like the next week after that class because I just physically I had a hard time with it. And that's part of it is okay, if it's going to be forecasted, if it's in the time period where we're forecasted to be triple digits, I need to not be out on the range. And this seems to be like it's going to be a hot summer. All right, let's actually talk about motorcycle news. And let's see. We'll start with Piaggio files a patent for active aerodynamic systems. The interesting thing about this is, the patent's kind of been placed on the MP3, right? The three-wheel scooters, what they're using in their illustrations. What is the benefit of these little winglets? And before we get into that, they're literally pieces of plastic that are on the side of the fairing about where the windshield would attach, the bottom of the windshield. So go out to the side of the bike. There's these little winglets. So who wants to take reviewing or going over what these things are and what they're for?
Well, I just want to say this is thrilling news. This is a cutting edge, exciting technology that is being applied to only the most advanced of the vehicles in the motorcycling community. And I'll just mention that these are indeed aerodynamic winglets, similar to what you see on MotoGP motorcycles. Except that these are dynamic winglets, so that they will move depending on the position of the bike. So when one wing is in an up position, the opposite wing is actually going to point downwards. The patent says that this helps for quicker rolling in or out of corners, and it has a noticeable effect at speeds even over 31 miles an hour. So if you're going straight, they can move in the same direction, and they can produce more downforce on the front wheel. This is an advantage over static aerodynamic systems that provide some benefits, when you're in some situations, but a hindrance in others. So, and indeed, they do show a Piaggio MP3, one of my favorite vehicles, the three-wheeled scooter, with the winglets attached and moving in the drawings as described. Now, these winglets could be applied to other more mundane kinds of two-wheeled motorcycles and provide a similar benefit. But I thought this was particularly exciting and relevant, showing that indeed the future belongs to three-wheeled motorcycles. Guys, do you have any takes on this? I know you're all excited by the news.
We'll have to say that the future belongs to three-wheel motorcycling might be just a small stretch, just slightly there.
Well, perhaps it's a slight exaggeration, but maybe not much. You know. Well, but what do other people think? Is this something that they think would be a distinct benefit, or is it just kind of pie in the sky?
Chris, you're the track wannabe here. What do you think?
Would you take?
You're the racer, dude.
Don't you think this would improve your MP3 on the track, Chris?
Well, here's what I think. If I'm going to select a motorcycle with wings, it's probably going to be the Ducati Panigale V4R. I'm sorry, but
that only has.
I think I would stick with two wheels.
But that only has static fixed wings, Chris. You're missing the point of this. This is a new, exciting technology.
It is, and it is interesting. I mean, I like all this kind of gadgety kind of stuff, but I don't know what's the fail-safe. Supposing you're hard banked in a corner and one of the winglets lets go or something.
Well, if they go into a reverse configuration. Well, in that case, you're going to be
which could happen too.
Right, you'll be losing your front end. Is what's going to happen.
You know what's going to happen, like in the future, is instead of the gag being someone riding up next to you and hitting the kill switch on your motorcycle, they're going to ride behind you and they're going to be on their phone hacking into your electronic system and. Having things going crazy, but it's cool. It's cool. I mean, like it says in here that the patent was filed about the same time as I guess the RS660 rolled out, the Aprilia.
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like because it mentions that the system is not limited to just the MP3. So whatever, maybe this is something they're planning for whatever World Superbike or something like that. Well, actually, it's actually interesting since I mentioned Aprilia. One of the guys I know from Moto America may actually be racing the 660 next year.
Oh, really?
Moto America. So that should be interesting.
Well, I have to say my hunch about this is that actually it is intended for the 660 or other Aprilias, and they're just kind of trying to disguise that fact a little by putting it on an MP3 in the drawings. But they do say that the Aprilia is going to incorporate an active aero system, and this would seem to be the logical idea behind that.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the advantage too of having a kind of umbrella company that has lots of brands and lots of vehicles. Is you can apply the technology across different models and whatnot.
This could be the beginning of a high-performance MP3.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
They make one, like I said earlier, in a 500 in our preamble, and parent company Piaggio also owns another company called, if I remember the name, it's Gilia or Gorilla, something along that line. It's again an Italian brand that, and they have an 850 scooter that's
oh wow,
not even it's exclusively in Europe. It doesn't come over into the U.S. So they have done big scooters before. So hey, you never know. This could be the making of an 800 or 900 cc scooter. There you go.
Well, isn't one of the MP3 models called a sport model? I think that. There's one that has like carbon fiber fairing or something, and they call it a sport, and that would be obviously a logical bike to get these winglets and to take them out to the track. You won't have many of them out of the track for initially, and you could be quite unique.
Now, I rarely see these in the wild over here.
Yeah.
Our local Vespa Piaggio dealer, I don't even think he carries one. I've never seen one in the shop.
I actually have seen a couple riding around locally, and I've seen them in San Francisco as well. But yeah, they are relatively unusual to see in the wild. We have a Piaggio dealer in Berkeley, and they do carry these MP3s, but so I see sightings every now and then, but they are rare birds. But not over in France. In France, they're according to my observation, they're very, very common.
True. Yeah. When I've been in Europe, you see them quite a bit, but just not so much here.
Right. Well, you don't see scooters that much here. Although I have to say that I'm seeing quite a few more scooters around here in the North Bay, Vespas and or sort of um, Asian, I suppose Chinese knockoffs on the Vespas, but quite a few people around here are riding them now. So it seems to be something that's starting to take off a little bit.
There you go. We're gonna that may be the future. Scooterism. We're gonna take it over.
Chris, any thoughts before we move on?
No, that covers it. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll go stick with the trike kind of attitude here. Larry's sneaking in a couple of them. This tells you how slow the news is being right now. And we're going to say a country I didn't think I would be saying today. Lithuanian startup AKO has announced a tilting three-wheel trike with nearly 200 miles of range that is enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have a steering wheel?
No. No, it doesn't have.
Sure?
Well, it does have a yoke. They call it, I think.
Okay.
A steering yoke, and if it's going fast enough, then and you tilt the yoke, then the vehicle will tilt like a motorcycle.
Do you have a seatbelt?
It does have airbags. It does have airbags and a 4-point harness, so I guess that would qualify as a seatbelt.
I have a hard time considering this. Oh, what the heck?
Not a three-wheel car.
Yeah. This is just a itty bitty slingshot.
No. It's not a slingshot because it does tilt like a motorcycle.
Well,
if
you make it small enough, they'll tilt.
No. This has the the suspension configuration so that it can be a tilting vehicle at speed, or you can turn it, sort of steer it if it's going slow enough. This is meant to be an urban commuter vehicle. Obviously, it's not. This is not an enthusiast type of vehicle, but I think you may or may not be required to wear a helmet. My guess is you probably will.
If you've got a seatbelt and airbags,
yeah.
Why would you be required to wear a helmet?
Well, because
it's enclosed.
Well, it is enclosed, but it's
you probably have a roll cage.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you have to do something to keep the weight down, and this is I believe an electric vehicle. Yeah, it's electric, so it has a nearly 200-mile range, a top speed limited to 150 miles per hour, and a ling angle of 30 degrees. So this actually seems like it'd be a pretty exciting vehicle to ride in. Now, they haven't actually announced a launch date, so this may be a little bit of theoretical, but still, it shows what sort of people are thinking about and what is possible in this kind of platform. And I know I've probably ridden this one to death, but I do think that this three-wheeled leaning platform may hold a lot of potential for motorcycling in the future.
Okay, so I will agree that there are definite use cases for it, but I don't necessarily know if this incarnation is a motorcycle. So we're going to leave it up to the audience. This is your opportunity to write in and tell us whether or not the AKO produced. What was the name?
It's called.
It's just a tilting trike. It doesn't really have a name.
Yeah, tilting trike.
Yeah. So whether this tilting trike, and please go to the website, go to the click on the show notes. You'll get the link. We want you to see this article by Visor Down, and write into the show feedback@throttledpodcast.com, and let us know if this is a trike or not, or a motorcycle, or what you think it is. Here, keep it clean. Especially, you go to our Facebook page. We'll publish these when we publish this. there, or if you're listening to this on the link for the video feed afterwards, go ahead and there. Is this a motorcycle, or is it just a little bitty slingshot? It's so cute.
If it leans,
It's a cute little slingshot.
If it leans, it's a motorcycle. That's what I say.
I mean, technically, your car leans when you go into the corner. You just got
It
another
leans
wheel
the
over
wrong
there.
way.
Car
leans the
it
wrong
leans
way.
the opposite way. He's right.
But it leans. But it
This-
leans.
Well, it does.
But I
lean,
do have
this-
to
I'm
point
saying-
out that the overall enclosed design, if you guys remember, many, many moons ago, BMW had an enclosed
Yes, they did.
motorcycle. Now,
Yeah.
it was the C1, and it was two wheels, but it had outriggers that came down.
Yeah.
But, okay, so now this is, to Larry's point, the next generation making use of that three-wheel technology.
Yep.
Now, this is interesting, and I apologize if, Larry, if you mentioned this already. I was just reading through the article, but it says here to tilt the trike over. Instead of merely turning the wheel, the driver-rider can shift the steering column left or right, with the steering mechanism tilting the trike over accordingly.
Yeah.
That reminds me very much of when I was a kid and I had this little pedal vehicle. It was called an X15. It was supposed to be, it was a reverse. Well, no, it was a trike. It had a single wheel on the front, and the way you steered it was with basically that's like a stick, like you'd have in an aircraft.
Right.
So my personal vote is this is more like an aircraft than a motorcycle.
Sorry.
Aircraft.
So
Aircraft.
I hated. I didn't mean to start laughing when you were talking there, but Rodney, they were talking about another vehicle like this that was called the Robin, and it said it tilted to 90 degrees most of the time, right onto its side. that just caught my funny bone there.
Thanks for your vote of confidence, Rodney. I'm glad to have you on board here.
So anyway, here's my thing: if you got handlebars and a saddle, that's my thing for a motorcycle. Scooters have handlebars and a seat. You don't necessarily have a saddle, right?
Right.
So that's my definition of a scooter. This is a three-wheeled car that can lean. Three-wheeled automobile that can lean.
Well, they're calling it a motorcycle. I'm sorry to say.
Well,
They
they in my opinion, which is worth about as much as everybody's paying to listen to this episode, they're wrong. But that's just my
okay.
unhumbled opinion.
We can wait and listen for the feedback from our fans and
Yes.
see what they think about this. But I vote for this being considered a motorcycle. And because of the geometry and the way it leans, just like the MP3, which is a motorcycle, and just like the Nikon, which is a motorcycle.
And I will. No, I don't disagree with your other two. Don't disagree
this
with
is-
it at all.
It's a
And
motorcycle.
technically, the MP3 is it a motorcycle or more of a scooter? It doesn't really matter.
Well, it's a scooter. It's
a scooter.
But
I mean, the Nikon. And I know there's other ways to make your bike a three-wheel leaning motorcycle. Chris, what is motorcycle or not?
This thing?
Yeah,
Not.
Tom.
come on, Chris.
Interesting vehicle. I have nothing against it. I will ride one. I'll
Come on,
race one.
Tom, what you think?
I am leaning towards motorcycle or some
Dang.
designation of that.
I was hoping that it would be more than just Chris and I being right on that, but okay. I'm sorry.
Because I mean, it's a single, you're in line, so you're not sitting side by side. Supposedly the engine is between your legs, or you are astride the engine in some form. There is a steering, I mean, they're handlebars. They do come down 90 degrees. So, hey, it's a extreme set of
yoke.
clip-ons.
It's move it to side, not push. Okay, given the MSF and how they describe the steering on this, could you give somebody the basic rider course and them comfortable going into this with the knowledge that you just told them and operate this vehicle? Because it steers completely different.
with some basic, hey, you just turn it to the side. You turn it in the direction you want to go. Like Chris said, you want to go left, you want to go to the right. You just push it a little bit to the right.
Yeah, it's not a steering wheel. It's more like a joystick, I gather. It's not a Morgan. The Morgan is a car. I agree. Morgan is a three-wheel car. This is not a three-wheel car. This is
only because it leans. So the difference you're making is just because it leans, it's a motorcycle.
Because that makes all the difference. It rides like a motorcycle. It acts like a motorcycle.
It doesn't act like a motorcycle. I mean, other than leaning, it doesn't act like a motorcycle.
Well, I think if you were in it and you were riding it at speed, you would say this is handling like a motorcycle.
So I would want to see video of the operator's area during usage before I made that call.
Well,
so on the website there is a video there that shows a skeletal version of the vehicle with the handlebars that he grabs onto, and how it is a set of handlebars. They do come down at almost a 90-degree angle from the top handlebar. But it is a handlebar of some sort.
Thank you very much. There you go. QED, case proven.
Oh, I don't think so.
I got to go with Larry on this one.
Don't think so. So I'll watch that video. Maybe next week we'll revisit. Doubt it, but we'll see. All right, so let's
just in case for the many people I know who really want to follow through with this, it's called the AKO trike. And you can look them up and see the demo, and you decide.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about Harley. Obviously, they've official new announcement about Zeitz being the new CEO. As we have recording this, Fortnine Ryan F9 on YouTube. I know a lot of people look at his videos for entertainment and gear reviews and bike reviews and everything. He has put out a video about, is Harley pretty much dead? One of the things that he talks about during the video is Harley buying back stocks to keep, and they've done this multiple times, to keep their price per share high. So they accrue debt to buy back stocks, or use cash on hand to buy back stock to keep their price per share up, which is great for the board of directors. Really, it sucks for the company overall. However, this is a little bit of a twist on that, as we get news that Zeitz has just bought a lot of Harley Davidson stock on his personal account. So, he now owns over 100,000 Harley Davidson shares in his personal account, along with some restricted stock units and other share units, that he can't sell publicly and whatnot. So why is he out there buying up stock? Do you guys think?
Well, I think it remains to be seen. We're guessing at his motivations, but he has paid out of his own pocket for a lot of shares, and I guess I'm thinking that at least part of it is he is trying to show confidence in the company, and he's putting his money where his mouth is. So if that's what he's doing, I'll hand that to him. Of course, the shares have bumped up a little bit. So it seems like the market may be sort of liking what news has been coming out of Harley, although personally I have not been. Again, kudos to him if he is trying to show that he has confidence in himself and the company, and purportedly that he is a smart guy, a successful CEO in other areas, and so maybe he knows something that we don't. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I haven't read the story, but I mean, I would agree with your assessment. I think that makes sense, right? That if he wants people to take him seriously about his idea that Harley can succeed and he's going to take it places, that's definitely a way to kind of lay it on the line. It's not just talk. Do we know how much he bought, like dollar value?
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, a couple million. I mean,
Yeah.
it's certainly, what is it, 100,000 shares or more. It's not enough to sway the price of the stock.
No.
So I think it's what Larry's saying. It's to show confidence.
Yeah, and technically the shares are still available, so it's not like the company buying it back where you remove the shares from the pool, then the shares
From the
have
market.
an evaluated price because of they're more rare at that point.
Right.
The technically the shares are still in the market. He paid $2.1 million out of his own pocket for that, which is probably not a lot to him, with his prior success in business and stuff. So,
Right.
I think it's just I'm a believer. And even though I'm not a bike rider, I'm in this and invested in it, and this is just me investing in it. I had to make the bike riding jab. Sorry.
Well, I mentioned that in another related article. I think that I hope that this is not that fact that he doesn't ride bikes himself is not a factor in his judgment.
Yeah. So, you guys got anything else on this? It's a pretty straightforward article, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I
good.
follow their stock. I mean, his buy really didn't change the stock price that much. It's been trading in a very narrow range over the last week or two. So it was a blip. I think waiting to see. I mean, he may be right. They're down over almost 50%. Their 52-week high was $40. Currently trading at just under $20 right now.
Yeah, I can't remember if I own any of Harley stock or not. I'll check it later. I'll check in here in a second. So there you go. Thoughts on that. But before we move on to our topic.
Well, before we do that, there was an associated issue, which is that on some of the Indian motorcycle websites, they're reporting that Harley is announcing that they're delaying the introduction of their ADV and Street Fighter models, and they don't actually state why they're delaying it, but instead of introducing it in late 2020, they're now talking about an introduction sometime in 2021.
Yeah, we kind of talked about them moving from September to June, their releases, right. And I think that plus COVID is the reason. I mean, it's I mean, they kind of hinted at it without hinting at it the last couple times, like, hey, we're going to be moving our new releases to June. Well, that means this is the perfect year to have an excuse to push something back on release.
But that was a shift earlier to a earlier introduction rather than a later one, and this is a shift to a later introduction, and I guess it does raise some concern about whether or not there is some waffling in their commitment to the introduction of these models, especially given the fact that they've indicated that their new path is going to be towards markets that they've already been successful in, which is the cruiser market.
I mean, their waffling came when they got rid of Levitec.
That's waffling. Right. Yeah,
I mean,
right.
they've already waffled. Yeah. Those things have syrup on them.
Well, except that the new CEO said that they were committed. They were still committed to the introduction of these bikes, but now I guess there raises some question about how committed are they actually.
Yeah, let's ask Garrett Buell when Harley says they're committed to new bikes, how well that works out. All right, so shifting gears to a little fun thing. So you're trapped. You haven't been out there riding. It rained today when you went out to go ride, and you can't ride, and you just got to get your fix. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have a link, because we're not going to talk about this, but we're going to have a link to where you could create your own Energica. Thank you. Energica Ego electric motorcycle out of paper. So a little paper folded, and now I can't remember the Japanese word of the origami. I got it. I remembered it. Origami. So the link will have a template you can print out, and fold you up a motorcycle and have some fun, I guess. If you do this, partake on it, we ask that you post this on our Facebook page. This would be awesome to have a bunch of pictures of you guys with your folded motorcycles, and just post them up on our Facebook page. We'd love to see the photos. We'd really appreciate it. But that aside, let's talk about our topic. And our topic today is, which way do you have a harder turning? Do you like to turn right better than left, or vice versa? Do you seem to do better one way or another? And go.
Left or right, Larry?
I was thinking about this because I was thinking about it actually when I was riding earlier this week, and I think that my difficulty is in turning left, and I'm right-handed, and I think they said that if you're right-hand dominant, then it's harder to make right-hand turns. I think that's the case with me, and it's also true in skiing. I think that I have more difficulty. I feel more comfortable and am more at ease turning left than carving turns right when I'm skiing. But sometimes it feels the opposite, so I'm not totally positive about that. I'm going to have to test that further. But I know I clearly have a dominant turning side, and I just get confused as to which it is. What about you guys?
Just out of curiosity, have you ever snowboarded or skateboarded?
No.
Or surfed? Okay.
No.
Just curious.
Yeah. No.
You're trying to figure out if he's goofy or not?
Goofy foot. Because I am, and even though I'm right-handed, I mean, I'm comfortable either way, but I honestly prefer turns to the left.
Uh-huh.
They just feel more natural to me for some reason.
Okay.
I don't have a problem doing turns to the right, but it just doesn't seem natural.
Well, I think I feel just a tiny bit stiffer turning to the right than turning to the left. Mm-hmm. And that's true on motorcycles, bicycles, and on skis.
It would be interesting. I don't know if it says anything in this article as to whether or not people who are ambidextrous or don't care.
Yeah, I know it doesn't. I don't think it says it remarks on that, but it does sort of talk about what the possible reasons would be for having a preference for one side or the other.
What about you, Tom?
I'm kind of in that group that it doesn't. This has come up a few times. I don't think it really matters. I can't really say that I'm more comfortable one way or the other. And I'm one of those. I am naturally left-handed, but in sports, I flip back and forth depending on the sport, whether I am left or right dominant.
So when you're working the box, which way do you go over the line? Like you haven't worked the box for a while, and you're practicing for the first time. Do you expect to run over left or right, first or second?
Always second on the right.
So it's right.
Yeah,
okay.
I can run it tighter to the left, definitely.
Yeah. So
that may be my predominant hand.
So I feel like I'm different here, because slow maneuvering, I do left a lot easier. Spend all day on the left-hand side. At speed, where we've got counter steering involved, I can get into a corner more to the right than to the left. I think most of that is psychological about the fear of a car coming over and whacking me as I'm too close to the center line left hand. So, but I could definitely move through corners faster and get more into it pressing right than left. But if you think about it, whenever the throttle comes in close to me, I struggle with it. That's what I struggle with, is the throttle coming in close to me. Well, I like it when the throttle goes away from me. So,
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, like I say, mine is. It's hard to say what I feel comfortable with. As I read through the article, as far as they say some people like to go left because it does open up the road a little bit more, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. But I do find a lot of times, especially on technical right turns, I do cut the turn even more than I plan to. So I take it even sharper. So. Not sure, but like I say, I'm kind of weird as far as the way I play right and left-handed in different sports. So,
yeah, if I do a delayed apex, I could delay and hit a lot sharper of an apex or with that delay to the right than I get in the left. The left, I never quite get to where I want to be.
And you're right-handed?
I am.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of skill with my left hand, just because my right hand was crushed when I was earlier and had to get rebuilt. And so I got very good at doing a lot with my left hand.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that they were speculating about, is that hanging off to the right in a right turn has the right wrist at a more awkward angle, and maybe that makes it more difficult to operate the throttle and brake. Whereas turning left, you have your right hand on top and your arm is comfortably atop the gas tank. It makes fine control inputs easier, so that maybe at least in higher speed turns, that might be part of the explanation for why people feel more comfortable making left turns.
All right. Well, at least we all can turn left and right, so that's good. If there's no further thoughts on this, we can move on into the paddock. What do you guys have? Anything else? Cool.
Oh, Rodney says he can help you overcome that, Kevin.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that. And I've toying with the thought about going to do the California motorbike thing at Barber.
Cool.
Toying, probably not going to happen. But
I would love to go do that. Unfortunately, it's on Memorial Day weekend this year, so that's out.
Yeah, it's this weekend. I guess I should say I toyed with it, anyway, let's shift over and talk about the paddocks. So I know we got a virtual MotoGP thing that we can go through real quick. Do we have anything from Moto America?
The only thing, just Moto America, is the schedule. Their first race is the end of this month, May 29th to 31st at Road America. They did announce, though, that there'll be no spectators. This will just be the racers and limited media. Knock on wood, I actually will be going. I've got my okay from Moto America, but they said because of all the, I guess, the legalities and stuff in the state with COVID-19 and whatever, that I need to get the okay from the track as well. So that is in progress. But
and where is it being held?
That's Road America, which is in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Wow.
And then, interestingly, the second race is also going to be in Moto America the end of June. So I guess that just timing-wise, that's kind of interesting, actually, when you think about all the logistics of, right, all the states are different. There's different executive orders in place, and, like New York is and California are kind of easing up, not as easy as some of the other states and things. Right. So I guess they're trying to juggle things as best they could. And they've said they're committed to doing 10 rounds if at all possible. And I guess this was a way to make it happen, is, hitting Moto America twice. So, yeah. World Superbike, I'm not sure. I was looking before. I didn't see anything about specifically if they've announced when the first, race is going to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I read something about it, but I can't remember now what it was. So I won't comment on that. Okay, well, that takes us then to MotoGP. I don't have anything new on Flat Track. They're still, I think, scheduled for July, I think, for the first Flat Track racing. And as far as MotoGP, well, there are a couple of things. In terms of the start of the season, I haven't read anything that confirms it. They're still, as far as I know, they're still negotiating with the Spanish government about holding the first races in Spain in July. But I think what they're proposing is that it's going to be, of course, a closed track. There won't be any spectators. They are going to limit the paddock, a number of people in the paddock, and even so, it's probably going to come out to around 1,500, 2,000, something like that people. But they will be, isolated and quarantined with each other, supposedly, so that they will be, things will be restricted and limited. And the idea, I think, is that they will have 2 weekends in a row at one of the Spanish tracks, and that's where I think World Superbike was going to be the third weekend. That they would use the track for World Superbike, and that's going to be in July. So I think it's going to be the middle to late July for those races, and then they're going to try to hold other races in Europe. And then potentially later on elsewhere in the world, depending on how the restriction easings go. I doubt that they're going to have one at Austin this year. I think that may be off the possibility for this year. But the question of whether they're going to have one in Australia and perhaps Qatar remains to be seen. So that's as far as I know, that's the update in terms of plans for the actual MotoGP. And in terms of the virtual MotoGP, well, they did have a virtual race this weekend, and it was interesting. I think it's maybe worth noting that Fabian Quartararo continued his practice, which he did in the real MotoGP last year, of qualifying in the pole position. He was just unbelievable on the qualifying track, and he did so in this race. He really qualified in pole position, and once the race started, it evolved very quickly to a race between him, Alex Marquez, Marc Marquez, and Vinales was in it for a while, but surprise, surprise, Valentino Rossi was in this race. He went down at the beginning of the race, but he became he stayed on the bike for the rest of the race, and that seems to be an important qualifying aspect of this virtual GP is just keeping the bike upright. If you crash, you do get back on the bike rather quickly, but you'll lose a few positions, and it can be hard to make up. So Rossi went down early, but then he stayed on the bikes, and for the rest of the race, most of the time, it was a race between Alex, Marc, and Quartararo. And Quartararo was actually leading the race in the last half, and he looked smooth and confident, and he was building up a lead. He really was outpacing everybody else. However, he was a little bit too aggressive in one of the turns, went down, and Alex Marquez got to pass him. And I believe he was in a battle with Marc Marquez, and he went down, and so Marc passed him, and then it was a race between Alex and Marc, and Marc passed Alex and was in the lead in the last couple of laps, and it looked like he was going to coast to victory, but Alex was hot on his tail, and Quartararo was also coming up really fast. Rossi was riding a steady fourth, And in the last lap, Alex dived in and passed Mark to take the lead. Mark came in second, and in the last lap, Quartararo again went down, and Rossi passed him. So Rossi actually did podium for this race. Alex took his second first place finish. Mark was in second, and it's interesting in that it just makes me wonder when the actual season starts if Alex is going to be as active a competitor as he has been in the virtual racing. He is his brother's brother, and it will be very interesting to see if he can actually fulfill the potential that he's sort of showing in this virtual racing. It was nice to see Rossi on the podium, even if it was a virtual podium, and Rossi got a good laugh out of being on the podium finally. And I'm hoping that maybe it's a harbinger of him being a factor in the real racing when it starts this year and next as well. So those were the results. It was fun to watch again, and whether or not it portends anything for the season, I don't know. But Alex and Mark have consistently done well in these races, and I do suspect that means something, as well as Quartararo being very flashy in these races, although he tends to be too aggressive and go down too quickly. But he's fast in the virtual racing, and he was very fast in the real racing as well. So that's it for this week in the paddock. Looking forward to what happens and to the real racing, hopefully resuming in some form in July.
Yeah, cool. One thing I forgot to mention actually is club racing has started already. So this weekend, Weir was racing at Roebling Road Raceway. So I know a bunch of the Moto America guys were down there racing, getting warmed up for the race at in Wisconsin at the end of the month.
Oh yeah, and Rodney has said that actually Moto America has announced that they're going to be racing at Austin along with MotoGP. So, from what I read, MotoGP is not sure that they're going to be able to clear the hurdles that would be required to bring the whole paddock to the States for racing, but apparently they're still on the schedule.
All right.
There you go.
Well, thank you very much for that rundown. I want to give a special thanks to everybody who is a Throttle crew member. Thank you, guys. I'm thinking about ending the whole readout since we have so many names and on the list. So what I'll probably do is mention new podcast supporters and Patreon crew members when they do it, and maybe run through a couple times. But we may be ending the episodic readout, but we'll still keep you in the show notes, and we're going to make sure that everybody's displayed on the screen when we're talking about the Throttle crew. It may come back. It just depends on how I like it after I re-listen to a few of these episodes with it in there. But if you would like to help support the Throttle crew and join the team that helps us out, please go to our website, throttledpodcast.com. Scroll down to the bottom, click on that Patreon logo, and get signed up. It really helps us keep everything running here, and we really do appreciate it. Very grateful to everybody that does contribute, and especially for some of you that have been contributing for years. We really appreciate it. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Throttle Show, Instagram Throttle Show, Facebook Throttled Podcast, and we do broadcast live every Sunday that we can at 7:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific. And how can you figure out how to listen to us or watch us, actually? Well, we do broadcast on YouTube, so what we would require you to do is go to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and usually 15 to 20 minutes before the show starts, actually start the stream, and you can go ahead and start just kind of being there and logged in, and the guys in the chat that get there early, y'all could go ahead and start chatting it up, and then we come on around 7:30 Central Time. But what that occasionally, the host might forget to remute some of the mics, and you get a little bit of the behind the scenes pre-show coming over the top of the air. And it just depends on what kind of surprises are in. Most of the time, though, I'll admit that doesn't happen. As I mentioned earlier, we do like feedback at throttledpodcast.com. Go to the website, throttledpodcast.com. Click on the contact tab, and you can fill out the form. We get that in the same mailbox. That's all I got, guys. Who wants to go first to sign off tonight?
Well, I forgot to make mention at the beginning, but for those who've been watching the YouTube or the live show or that come on the YouTube, so I've been doing a weekly picture as my background. So just for those that want to know around the country, picture in the back is the Iron Horse Motorcycle Lodge in Stokoe, North Carolina. It's about 30 miles from Deals Gap, the beginning of Tail of the Dragon. And the large group that you see there is last year's gathering of the BMW K1600 outing. Had about 70 bikes that joined that. We do it every year, first weekend in May, and of course had to cancel this year, but looking forward to a 21 gathering. I have another picture that shows all of the bikes lined up, and as I mentioned, my GS is way off in the back and in the corner, so as not to spoil the picture of all the nice K1600s in front. But it's a good group that I ride with every year. So with that, great night. Appreciate it. A lot of fun discussion. Everybody have a good week. And as things open up, everybody gets out. Just ride safe and ride smart.
All right, Chris, why don't you go?
All righty. So I will just say that, Tom, I finally figured out why I couldn't pull up a background in Skype, a background photo. So maybe in the future we can start having a little contest, see who's got the best background photo.
Oh, whoa.
There you go.
Well,
But
the gauntlet has been laid down.
But at any rate, so thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun, and ride smart, ride safe, and take care of yourselves.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ride your own ride as well, and of course, be in these times, be safe.
All right, everybody. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. When you get out there and ride, as the roads start opening back up, ride safe. We'll talk to you all next week.